I am Dr. Sawan Didi from JIT Arts, Science and Commerce College for Women, Malegaon District, Nasik. Today's topic which I had selected, that is a heat balance. As a introduction of the heat balance, almost all of you knowing that Earth receives the energy from the sun. The energy in sun is produced from nuclear reactions. It means that nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. The Earth in turn radiates back to space the energy received from the sun. As the insolation is a short form of incoming solar radiation, the very hot surface of the sun continuously gives out heat energy in the form of electromagnetic energy, electromagnetic waves. So the amount of radiant energy received by the surface of the earth is known as an insolation. So solar radiation, which is a radiated emitted from sun in form of short waves, is called as solar radiation. The sun is the single major source of heat for the earth and its atmosphere. So the surface temperature of the sun is nearly 6000 degrees Celsius. In the interior of the sun, due to enormous pressure and heat, hydrogen is continually converted into helium. In this process, tremendous heat is generated, which comes to the surface through convection and conduction. From this surface, it is given out into space. This energy given out by the surface of the sun is known as solar radiation. As the source of heat of the atmosphere, sun is the major source, as we have seen that, and the all bodies, irrespective of their temperature, gives off energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation. The intensity of radiation and its wavelength depend on the temperature of the substance. If the temperature of a substance is higher, its radiation is intense and is in the form of short waves. On the other hand, lower the temperature, the weaker is the radiation and it is in the form of long waves. Now, on average, Earth receives around 1.94 calories per square kilometer per minute at the top of its atmosphere. It is called as a solar constant. As a terrestrial radiations, we will see these incoming shortwave solar radiations are absorbed by atmosphere, heats it up, and it also reflected back into space in the form of long wave radiations. So this type of energy which heats up the atmosphere is called as a terrestrial radiation. The process which is involved in heating of atmosphere is in two forms. Number one is a convection, number two is a conduction, number third is a radiation, and number fourth is a advection. So first process, which is a convection, the transfer of heat through rising of warm air and sinking of cold air is called convection. So the surface of the earth absorbs the heat given out by the sun and starts radiating energy in the form of long waves. This radiation is known as a ground radiation or terrestrial radiation. So thus the layers lying close to the surface of the earth absorbs heat due to radiation and conduction. With the help of convection currents, this heat is transferred from lower layers of air to upper layers. Thus, atmosphere is heated from below, as the earth is the direct source of heat to the atmosphere. So the conduction Number 2, which is a conduction, is transfer of heat when between two bodies of unequal temperature are contact with one another. The flow of energy is from warmer to cooler body. The transfer continues until both bodies maintain the same temperature. The air gets heated and slowly that it hits the upper layer of atmosphere. This process is called as a conduction. Now radiation is in the form of energy that is transmitted in the form of waves. The energy received from the sun is in the form of short wave radiations, and the atmosphere emits it in the form of long wave radiations. Advection, it is in the horizontal transfer of energy. In middle latitudes, variations in daily weather is caused by advection alone. It is opposite to process of convection in terms of direction of flow of energy. As we are observing in this slide, a conduction process which is shown, a convection is seen, a radiation which is given from below. So like this way, this is the process which is being acting part from the solar towards the earth's surface. So here solar radiations which are directly radiated, some are diffused from various waves. As the rays which are coming on the earth, those are the reflected rays, radiations which are coming on the earth, and those are reflected to the human body, a person who is sitting on the bench. And a slide which shows a photography that how the rays which are coming and how those rays are diffracted away from the earth's surface, and who is suffered from this, that we are observing. So the conduction is shown, a wind which are blowing towards the human being, and those are released away again with the help of convection. So heat is lost by convection when a stream of air which is cooler than body surface temperature. So radiations which are coming, and after that those radiations which are radiated again away into the space, as objects exchange radiations with each other, and with the sky, warmer objects loss heat to cooler objects. So this is one of the figure which is shown. After that, factors responsible for difference of insolation at surface of the earth. As these are the factors. Number 1, that is a rotation of earth. As earth moves, so earth is having a movement, and around its own axis also it is rotating. So the part of the earth facing of the sun will receive the maximum insolation as compared to the other side of the earth. Number 2, that is revolution of earth. Revolution refers to the movement of earth around sun. Again, position of the earth is determined when it revolves. In June, called the summer solstice, when the sun rays are vertical on Tropic of Cancer, as a result of which there is summer in the northern hemisphere and winter in the southern hemisphere. In December 22, it is called the winter solstice, when the sun rays are vertical in Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere, as a result of which there is winter season in northern hemisphere and summer in southern hemisphere. There is opposite actions which are being seen in June and the December. And on March 21st and September 23rd, the sun rays are falling vertical on equator, and days and nights seems to be equal. These 2 days, these two are also called as a equinox. As of the inclination of the sun rays, if rays are vertical, it will cover less area but net energy received and distributed is more heat, where areas which receives oblique rays covers more area but net energy received and distributed is less. So in this figure you will observe that what it is shown. So the revolution of the earth is seen, again the rotation of the earth, how it is on its own axis, and inclination of the sun rays that we have seen. So here in this figure there is a, in the center sun is seen, and on four sides solstice June 21st 22nd sun vertical that we have seen at latitude 23.5 degree north, Arctic Circle, Tropic of Cancer, Equator, Tropic of Capricorn. In equinox March 21-22 sun vertical at equator, solstice December 21-22 sun vertical at latitude 23.5 degree south, and last one that is equinox September 22nd and 23rd sun vertical at equator. As length of the day, longer the day, greater is the insolation. In the summer mostly the longer days are seen and the greater insolation which is being observed. So examples, days are longer and nights are shorter during the summer. Therefore, more insolation is received during summer season. In winter, days are shorter and nights are longer, and therefore less insolation is received in this season. As a discussed to the latitudes of places at high latitudes like polar areas receive less insolation. Middle latitudes receive high insolation because inclination of the angle of the incidence of the solar, those are far away from the equator towards the pole, and hence a distance of the earth from the sun it seems. And earth moves around the sun in a elliptical orbit. Earth is nearest to sun on 3rd January at distance of 147 million kilometers. It is called as perihelion. Earth is farthest away from sun on 4th July at a distance of 152 million kilometers, and this concept is called as a aphelion. Impact of land and water. Specific capacity of water is 5 times more than land. It means that if same energy is provided to water as well as land will get heated as well as cool easily as compared to water. Water in turn takes 5 times more energy to heat as well as cool down. Therefore, areas on the earth's surface where portion of the land is more will get heated more and will generate more insulation. And areas with less portion of land will have less insulation. So here we have discussed the balance of heat. So thank you very much.